Antarctica is the most extreme, most desolate, and least explored continent on the planet. Like a frozen desert, it has been the stage for countless myths, legends, and disasters for centuries. Today we know of its existence on maps, but when it comes to actually going there, things change. You can't just stroll in with your hands in your pockets. So why? Why do countries keep this ice-covered continent out of sight like a hidden treasure? Why do you think? Is there really something being hidden, or are we just being overly paranoid? Today we'll go down together to the frozen south of the world and look at the stories told about Antarctica and the truths behind those stories. And most likely by the end of the video, some of your questions will be answered, but new ones will take their place. Let's go to the year 100 AD then. We come across a very important Greek scholar, Claudius Ptolemy, or as we know him, Ptolemy. Astronomer, mathematician, geographer, astrologer, philosopher, a man obsessed with knowledge. He spends his life among scrolls in the Library of Alexandria and leaves us a legacy in dozens of fields. What concerns us today is this. He is the first person in history to say that there must be a large landmass in the south of the world. In his work Geography, he refers to this region as Terra Australis Incognita, meaning unknown southern lands. You might ask, how come he talks about the South Pole when nobody knew about it in that time? In fact, he was thinking entirely within the science of his era. He adopted Aristotle's idea that the Earth is round, and argued that if there are large land masses in the north to keep the world balanced, there must also be land masses in the south. This is the balance theory. In Greek thought of that time, it was a widespread idea. It was believed that there was a great landmass surrounding all the seas, and that our known oceans were actually inner seas within this land. The origin of what some people today sell on social media as the Earth is flat, there is a giant ice wall at the poles, also lies in this old misconception. They present a centuries-old guess as if it were a brand new discovery. That's why you should be careful with unverified claims you see especially on places like TikTok, and always do your own research. Ptolemy's idea of this mysterious southern land turned into both a myth and a target for sailors over the centuries. About 1,300 years passed, seafaring developed. The age of exploration began, and brave sailors started heading for unknown lands. Maps grew and became more detailed. The coasts of North America, Asia, Africa. Little by little, the world began to take shape. Then, around 1511, the great Ottoman sailor Piri Reis entered the stage, and things got a bit complicated, because in one part of his famous map there is a landmass that looked as if Antarctica had been drawn before it was covered in ice. Piri Reis was one of the most important figures in the Ottoman Navy and wrote an incredibly detailed seafaring book for his time called Kitab-i Bahriye, Ports, Winds, Currents, Maps. In 1513 he also presented a large world map to Yavuz Sultan Selim, what we know today as the Piri Reis map. It is actually just a small part of this large map. It shows the part of the African continent facing the Atlantic Ocean and the eastern coasts of North and South America. At the bottom there is a landmass that makes people wonder, could this be Antarctica? This is where the mystery was fed for years. How did Piri Reis draw Antarctica, which was supposedly unknown at the time and in its ice-free state? Did he get it from aliens, or did he use the map of a lost civilization? And similar claims spread around. The reality is much simpler. Piri Reis clearly lists his sources in his own book. He compiles and uses the maps of earlier sailors. The landmass we see at the bottom is most likely an overextended version of the southernmost part of South America, Patagonia and Tierra del Fuego, because at that time the extreme south of the continent hadn't been fully explored, and similar mapping errors appear in other maps as well. Today, when we model it with computers, we see that Piri Reis's drawing matches the eastern coasts of South America, so there isn't a mysterious Antarctica on the map in the way we imagine, but there is incredibly valuable work for its era. When we can't find the big mystery we're looking for in the Piri Reis map, our attention turns to the Orontius Fine, Orontius Phineus map, published in 1531. Because in this map too, under Africa and South America, there is a southern continent that looks very similar to Antarctica and appears ice-free. Fine says he used the notes of figures like Ptolemy, Christopher Columbus, and Amerigo Vespucci while preparing this map. It was already a common habit in old maps to draw an imaginary continent at the southern edge. In other words, this southern continent, which no one had visited,